Compartilhemos agora a palestra do Ministério da Agricultura e Pecuária e a Sustentabilidade, com Bruno Meireles Leite. O Bruno é coordenador geral de produção animal da Secretaria de Inovação, Desenvolvimento Sustentável, Irrigação e Cooperativismo do Ministério da Agricultura e Pecuária. Seja muito bem-vindo, então, ao nosso evento, Bruno. Salve de palmas.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the organization of the committee, the event, and CICB. I also would like to congratulate you for the organization. Everything is impeccable until now, and especially for the success of this afternoon to bring all the links of the production chain together to talk and to align expectations and difficulties of each of the participants of the production chain, leather production chain. I have in my presentation, as we mentioned, I gave the title Information in the Value Chain of Cattle Raising. We are going to talk about traceability and sustainability, but what we are also always discussing is that traceability is a tool, nothing more than that. It will allow us to identify the path that this animal went through until it reached the slaughterhouse and the leather, the tannery, and we can add or use this traceability to add other information. And this demand for information is growing day after day. We have consumer groups that want one thing or other thing, countries that want to close markets or open markets, and this discussion is only growing. Now I want to show this first slide for us, because when we are discussing traceability and sustainability especially, we are being biased in this discussion about carbon, deforestation, and we must remember that our primary activity that leads to leather, food, fibers, biofuels, it comes to meet a global demand. Data from the FAO say that we are going to grow a lot in the next years. We will have an increase in income in the next few years, and the population is going to eat. And this population will eat better as well, or so we hope. So we need to have, to keep in mind when we are talking about these environmental issues, that sometimes that we are food producers, and this comes from back then in the climate discussions, when this was very clear in the agreements, the Kyoto Protocol, the Paris Protocol, and with time this has been lost in the international discussions and agreements. And it doesn't mean that because we produce food we don't need to do anything. The natural resources are limited, but our challenge here is to produce more and better. And today, the animal raising sector is being pressured regarding climate change, natural resources, poverty, inequality, hunger. How can we produce so much food in the world? There are so many people in hunger. The loss of food throughout the production chain, this is also discussed. So today, the producer, a lot of information comes to them that they didn't have before, and they need to deal with all that. And the markets are demanding more and more, and they want to know if this product comes from deforestation, if it contributes to global warming or not. So these questions started started to appear more and more in the last few years. And traceability appeared in this context. This is not a new idea. It has been discussed for a long time in Brazil and the world. And it's gaining strength now with this discussion to have, because if you can have this information at the end about how it was produced. And now I go back to the point that we are talking about traceability as a tool. We can add to it whatever we want, but it must be done well. So traceability answers a question, which is where this animal went through during its life. And the other question that we must answer is how this animal was raised. Now talking about sustainability is how it was raised, if there's deforestation or not, if there's exploration or exploitation of child labor or slave labor, if there's overlapping with indigenous lands and original peoples. We can incorporate this information. And thinking about sustainability and the social and environmental aspects, the Ministry of Agriculture started an initiative last year, which is to develop a platform that has the name of Agro Brasil More Sustainable. So what is that? The partners in this initiative are SERPRO, the data processing service of the federal government. Maybe you don't know it, but you all here use this service when you do your income tax return, the electronic ID, vehicle transfer document, all that is done by SERPRO. And the other institution, Embrapa, you all know, I don't need to introduce that to you. So this platform is a digital platform that integrates information from database, official databases, from governmental institutions. It generates organized and traceable information and reliable about sustainable agricultural production in Brazil. So all the databases in the federal government. So what we're going to do, we're going to combine all that in a big data lake. We will gather all this information that the producer, in some moment in its path, they had to generate this information. So the car registration, the registration with INCRA, if they have environmental embargoes or not, if their land overlaps with indigenous lands or legal reserves, federal or state reserves, and it will allow a classification of this property at first. So this is being developed so that it's universal, so any farmer will be able to use it, producer of calves or fattening steps of coffee, cocoa, or vegetables, they all can use it. It will be free of cost, so it won't have any cost to the farmers. They'll be able to access the platform, and there they can find all this information and present their compliance with legislation, and if some error is identified, they will give a feedback to the farmer so that the farmer becomes aware of this error or mistake. Sometimes they don't know about that, and this will appear in the platform, so it will give a feedback to the farmer so they can fix it. At first it will be voluntary, where the farmer will take the initiative to enter the information, or in a strategy that we are developing of maybe doing an initial step of entering the platform and only confirming that the information shown is in agreement with his property. He just accepts it. It evolves and is based on technologies, as was said before. The issue of market demands or consumer demand, they're going to be more and more modified, so it will allow other information to be added. And because it's based in technology, it is done in a system of APIs, so that consultancy companies, slaughterhouses, trailers, warehouses can also consume this information, and the farmer can also get this information from other sources to include in the platform. It's also adaptable to these realities that are coming, and especially it is integrative. It's not a platform that will generate data, it will only seek data, official data in other databases. So there's no need for an agent from the ministry to go there to be certain that there's no deforestation in that property, because another federal agency already went there and did this. So we're just going to get the information. The value proposition of this platform is to generate transparency, credibility, and trust among all the participants or the stakeholders in the value chain in the Brazilian agricultural sector. So what we want to do, this idea came up for several other Brazilian policies of subsidized credit and agricultural insurance, in a way to show the sustainability and the compliance of our farmers, because we see this big discussion about deforestation, but it reached a point that we cannot fight the narrative with narrative. So someone says that we are doing this, and we respond with our narrative. And so what we're doing is to present data. This data exists. Most of our farmers, they are in compliance with the law. Of course, we will have a few that are doing something wrong, and we'll try to fix that. And if you are not in compliance, then that is something else. It's an issue with the police, the law enforcement, and not us. And because if we allow when we allow the farmers to have access to the certificates, by doing this, we will reduce the reputation risk for those who are working in the production chain, because those are official information that are being transmitted. And we reduce the information asymmetry during negotiation, so this will also reduce transaction costs. And it was created with the idea of when the legislation of European Union about deforestation being implemented, a consultancy market was created of certifications, and the farmer is often paying to get this information that is their right. And some links in the production chain, especially the small farmers, they can be left out of the market because they cannot prove their compliance with the law. So we need to pay someone to go there and do some service about an information that they already have. So the idea is to have this universal platform to ensure access to everyone to these markets that are being discussed. So who would be the users of this platform? So the farmer, at first, this platform is done for primary producers, those on the field, or someone authorized by him will enter the platform to enter data and to see an assessment of their property. Outsourced companies responsible for the chain of custody, traceability, certifications, audits, and other services. So we have companies that do traceability, as was shown here. They work on health issues. They can get this information from other farmers, and they don't need to do this work to to do all this compliance. So this adds value to some actions in the field. And operators and consumers that will be able to have information about the links in their chain before it reaches them. Access to this platform to be universal and free. It was suggested by Serpro to be done through gov.br. So the farmer will enter their CPF number or the CNPJ number, the company registry number. The platform will seek all the properties linked to those numbers, registration numbers, and the farmer chooses it and continue. So someone could say, oh, but the internet, gov.br, and the field, it's difficult to access. So our assessment of this, we have some, maybe you can see it here, but today gov.br has more than 153 million users. This is equivalent to 93% of the Brazilian population over 15 years old. So all these people are already in gov.br for some service, have already used it for some service. So we Brazilians, sometimes we have this complex, we think that we are not good enough, but when we go outside abroad and we say this, they can't believe it. We are the second country with the highest maturity in digital government in the world. This is a reality, this is a strong point, a strength of Brazil. When you go to other countries, even first world countries, we don't see this advancement in terms of digital government and facilitation of some services for the population. In this first step, the farmer will have access to their property and characteristics. And a second step that is being developed in the ministry, we call it characterization and sustainability of production. I don't know if you know it, but Brazil has one of the most advanced policies of low-carbon agriculture in the world. So we have goals to be met of emission reduction with technologies that most of our farmers use, like no-tillage, bio-inputs, recovery. Those are all technologies to mitigate gas emissions that are routine. They are in the day-to-day of our farmers, and sometimes we become caught up in these narratives and we don't know how to show the strength of the Brazilian agriculture. So the second module of the platform is being developed so we can get from the field the use of these technologies. With that, the farmer will be able to say, to show their compliance, social and environmental compliance with the law, their use of technologies, sustainable technologies. We will incorporate here we'll try to incorporate a calculator of life cycle of products for animal raising that is being developed by the DNS Bank. There's a call notice for this. They're developing this calculator to be another option for those who want to add value to their production. And it allows that when we sell some lot of this product, this information can be transmitted with the lot number. So all the production carries the information to the next step based on blockchain and information security until it reaches the final product. The third, I think, so this model is the characterization of property. I've already talked about this. The databases that we're going to use at first about the property, overlapping with interest areas, labor rights and environmental compliance, and the other point, monitoring of the use, land use and land cover. Because today we are talking about the legislation of the European Union, they don't want to know about legal deforestation. They want to know about zero deforestation. So this is being contested there by the Brazilian foreign policy, but what is being shown to them is that we can, or to other markets, we can show the evaluation of the land use through the program that was developed by Embrapa together with INPE, Space Agency, two renowned institutions where we can read the land use and cover. So maybe you did not have any legal deforestation because this is not in the database, but with a satellite image you can identify these changes in land use. So in a second moment, how we're going to add value to the production using sustainable practices or some other certifications, like if they produce carbon neutral beef, we can, as was said here, we can go to the certifying company and to bring this certificate, and when this is sold, this certification can be used or applied to the product. And the platform will also serve as an enabler of traceability. So I'm not talking only about animal raising. This platform is universal, so it will meet different chains, but it will serve different chains. But in general, it will offer this benefit to everyone. So the data are recorded in a data lake. They can be verified or audited. The results are registered through a blockchain technology. The results can be verified online, and the reports can be accessed in an automated way by traceability companies. So in this module 3, that's when we will link all that with the final lot, the issuance of the final lot. It can be used in different ways with the traceability of cattle today. In the European Union, for the European Union, we have SysBOV. We have an API that allows to search this data, to query this data in the system of SysBOV and integrate this with this information from the properties. So we can have the characteristics of the property. If we're talking about traceability by lot number, we can integrate this characterization by the issuance of forms, transfer forms, or receipts from this form. So a chain that is well organized, sometimes I don't need to have individual traceability. I can have a group of suppliers that animals only come in and out from this group. They are all certified by the platform that they are in compliance. So it doesn't matter if I'm selling to the slaughterhouse cattle A that came from farm B, maybe it came from A, B, or C, but they are all in compliance. So we are calling this declarations by census because I don't need the identity of each one. I can have one group of farmers. They are all in compliance, and with that I can work traceability by lot. If I add an individual identification system, I can have information, individual information for each animal, of course, and this makes my life easier because then I can, in my chain, I can separate those animals that went through a property, so through each property. So this adds reliability and more detail about the system, and the platform, as I said, is open to synchronize with this system. If some official system of traceability is created, integrating everyone, we can connect and get that information. If there's a private company that is doing this, we can have some information exchange, respecting, of course, the General Data Protection Law.
Well, I think that's all I had to say. I gave you a brief summary of all the policies that ministry has been developing. This is a tool that, they're working on the kind of deadline started in July 2024, the very first module to characterize the properties. We understand that this very first module in terms of characterization of properties, it meets the requirements of the European Union for each property. We have a challenge here, though, which is to organize the links of the productive chain so that we can take all that information to those animal batches that we get to the slaughterhouse, and then we'll produce the leather. Similarly, we are working on encouragement policies that this platform will be able to assist in terms of, for instance, credit reduction. One of the partners we've been working on, financial institutions, is, and this is one of the stages that the banks won't be going through when applying that. Whenever we apply sustainable practices, they can get access to some differences in the Plano Safra in connection with the ABC. So you can see a reduction of 0.5%. As for insurance, this can be applicable there. It's going to be applicable there too. Operations with animals in the long run as well. You can characterize the property where the animal is being produced, and this information will be sent to the following batch, and then it will have an aggregated added value till the end. One of the challenges is to share this with the entire chain, and the tool also allows users to know the value of the things they're producing, which is a differentiator in the market, So it will fall to the government or slaughterhouses, farmers, tanneries. They'll have to talk about it so that we can reach our goals, our traceability goals of our production. So here's my email address. We're available to you at the Ministry of Agriculture. I hope I didn't go over time. Thank you very much.